All right, let's dive into a classic engineering detective story, one that happens inside your computer every single second. This is the tale of memory management.
I mean, really think about it for a second. You've probably got a browser open, maybe some music playing, a chat app pinging away. How in the world does your machine keep all of that information separate without one program just stumbling into another space?
And that right there, that's the whole game. The operating system acts like a traffic cop for your computer's memory, or RAM. It's got this limited amount of space, and it has to figure out who gets a spot and how big that spot should be. It sounds pretty straightforward, but as we're about to see, the first big ideas had some surprising flaws.
So, let's say it's your job to solve this. What's the simplest, most obvious thing you could do? Well, you'd probably just pre-slice the memory, right? Just chop it up into neat little boxes before any programs even get started.
This approach is called fixed or static partitioning, and the two magic words here are fixed and before. The moment the system boots up, we just chop up all the available RAM into a set number of partitions. Done.
The rules here are super simple. You could make all the boxes the same size, or maybe you'd have a mix of small, medium, and large ones, but the most important rule is this. A program has to fit completely inside one box. No splitting it up. The big plus side, it's incredibly simple to build and manage. But there's always a but, isn't there? There's a catch.
And here it is, our first big plot twist. This super simple, you could even say elegant solution creates a very specific and honestly a very wasteful kind of problem. The problem is called internal fragmentation. And the name really says it all, right? It's wasted memory that gets trapped inside a partition that's already been given away. Let me just show you what I mean.
Okay, so let's picture this. Here's one of our boxes. We've pre-sliced our RAM, and this particular slice is 8 megabytes. It's just sitting there, empty, waiting for a program.
So along comes this little program. It only needs 2 megabytes of space. But remember the rule. A process gets an entire partition. So our little 2 MB process is assigned this whole 8 MB block of memory.
And this is where the problem hits. The program is perfectly happy. It's got its 2 megs. But what about the other 6? Well, they're stuck. They are locked away inside that partition, and absolutely no other program can touch them. That space is just gone. Completely wasted. I mean, just do the math on that. In this one super simple example, a whopping 75% of the memory we handed out is just sitting there, totally unusable. Now imagine that happening over and over again with hundreds of processes. It's a gigantic inefficiency. Okay, so obviously, that's not going to work in the long run. Engineers knew they needed a much more flexible approach. So they thought, hey, what if instead of pre-slicing the memory, we cut it to order?
And the best way to get your head around this is the pizza analogy. It's perfect. Fixed partitioning, that's like a pizza that's already been sliced. If you only want a tiny bite, too bad, you get the whole slice, and the leftovers on your plate are wasted. But variable partitioning, that's like getting the whole pizza and your very own pizza cutter. You can slice exactly the piece you want, no matter how big or small.
So this new, much smarter approach is called variable or dynamic partitioning. Here, memory is allocated on the fly. A process asks for 2.3 megs, it gets exactly 2.3 megs, and boom! This solves our biggest headache. No more internal fragmentation. It also means you're not limited by some preset partition size, and you can run way more programs at once. It really seems like the perfect solution, doesn't it?
Yeah, but you know how this goes. In the world of engineering, there's almost never a perfect solution without some kind of trade-off. And just when we thought we've nailed it, a totally new, and honestly, a much trickier kind of waste started to show up.
So it all sounds great, but here's the question you have to ask. What happens when one of those custom-cut slices of memory isn't needed anymore? What happens when a program closes? Well, it leaves behind a hole.
Okay, just watch this sequence. We start out with a few processes running happily. Then, a couple of them finish their work and leave. And when they go, they create these empty gaps in memory. Now, a brand new process shows up, and it's a big one. It needs 8 megabytes. We look at our memory, and we see, oh, there's a 4 MB hole here and another 4 MB hole over there. Hey, that's 8 MB in total. But we can't use it. The free space is scattered. It's not all in one piece.
And this right here is our second villain, external fragmentation. This is what happens when you have enough total free memory, but it's all broken up into these small separate pieces, so you can't actually satisfy a request for a large single block.
So where does that leave us? We basically just traded one problem for another. This is a classic engineering trade-off, and it's this very dilemma that would lead directly to the systems we all use today. Let's just put them side by side to really see it clearly.
Okay, this table lays it all out perfectly. With fixed partitioning, your main enemy is internal fragmentation, that wasted space inside the blocks. But hey, it's simple. The big downside? Your programs are limited by the size and number of partitions you set up beforehand. Now, variable partitioning solves that, giving you way more flexibility, with processes limited only by the total RAM. But its Achilles heel is external fragmentation, and it's a lot more complex to manage.
Now, I know as some of you might be thinking, why not just tidy up, shove all the used blocks to one end and create one big free block at the other? Well, that's a real thing. It's called compaction. But just imagine trying to do that while your computer is running. You'd have to halt active programs, move gigabytes of data around, and then update everything so the programs know where their data went. It is an incredibly slow and heavy operation, which makes it totally impractical for most systems.
Which leaves us with the million-dollar question. If both of these foundational methods have a fatal flaw, where do we go from here? How did we actually solve the fragmentation problem for good?
And the answer is, they got even clever. This exact trade-off, this tale of two fragments, was the catalyst for inventing the sophisticated techniques we rely on today, things like paging and segmentation, which actually allow a single program to be split into pieces. These modern solutions are a direct result of solving the very puzzle we've just explored.